topic along with the processor, we will be discussing something about the hardware for CPS. So what are the different hardwares you might be needing for a perfect cyber physical systems? Okay. So we are going to see processor, then we are going to see sensor, then we are going to see memory, and many other things also we are going to see. Okay. So one by one we will be seeing it because this is the complete module number 2 completely deals with hardware. Okay. And there is something like how human can be in the loop. So there is a concept called as human in the loop. So that also we will be seeing. So how human beings can able to put into the loop while we design the cyber physical system. Okay. So anyway, I'll just update this screen. This slide. Today we are going to see processor and the basics of this sensor introduction. Okay. So in processor, as we discussed yesterday, we have seen microcontrollers, we have seen x86 processor, we have going to see DSP processor, and we are going to see graphic processors. So these are the different 4 kinds of processors that we can able to design for any system in that aspect. So first thing is a microcontroller. So generally, I already told you about microcontroller. So it is the concept of MUP. MUP means microprocessor plus IO ports plus peripherals plus etc. plus 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 plus. So that's what. So generally C plus plus. Oh, sorry. So generally when we see C and C plus plus, similarly here MUP and this is MUP plus plus will be equal to MUC. That is microcontroller. So that's what we usually see. And see that there is a diagram here below that. This is Intel 8051, which is launched in the year 1980. Okay, so this is the processor Intel 8051. It is a controller, microcontroller. Okay, so this is the most successful product right from launched in 1980. But still this day in 2021, this controller is still being used. So in temperature controllers, in water level indicator controllers, in domestic applications, many domestic applications, still this day this processor is used. So like that is one. Another purpose is the C programming. How you use C programming? So for learning algorithms, we will be using C programming. So nowhere else C programming is used now, other than these embedded systems. So in generally in pure softwares, C programming hasn't been used. But now in most of the operating systems, most of the hardware devices, most of the controllers, so where C programming is still being used. So similarly, this controller also a de facto controller. That is the entry point of anything. So if you want to know about microprocessor, you have studied 8086. During our days, we have studied 8085, which is not so successful. But now we are using 8086. But during our days, we never studied microcontroller, but you are studying 8051 microcontroller. So having understanding this 8051 will make you understand many other controllers in the market. Okay, so the entry point is 8051. Okay, so this is on 1980. This product was launched. So what is this all about? This is a simple CPU. So simple CPU means simplest CPU that this microcontroller have. They mostly operate on a 8-bit word. So mostly they operate on a 8-bit word. So 8-bit word means we have 8-bit address bus and 8-bit data bus. So there are two things, 8-bit data and 8-bit address. So generally these things are handling in the address bus. Address bus means program and data memory. As we have seen yesterday, Harvard architecture and von Neumann. So they are differentiated by program memory and data memory. So address bus depends on the program memory. Data bus depends on the data memory. So that's what they are generally called as 8-bit microcontrollers, suitable for applications that require small amount of memory. So they may not be useful for bulky applications, rather than they are small applications. So let's say if you want to do some small control system in your home with a small motor, let's say if you want to use a PMMC motor. So permanent magnet moving coil motor. So like you can see the wiper motor in cars. So the car wiper motor will be having two shafts. Okay, so either you can go up to this, then you can go up to this. So that's what it will do. But how can I able to make full rotation? So in case if you want to have a microcontroller based car wiper motor, then you can have this 8051 as one of the controller. So a very small application. extremely consume less energy and often includes a sleep mode to optimize energy. So generally it has a sleep mode. Sleep mode means whenever the processor is not doing anything, it goes to the sleep mode. So to optimize energy. So even nowadays, my phone, I can see the phone is also now into switch mode, sleep mode. Okay. So, but phone sleep is based on the Android operating system, but this sleep mode is on the processor. The processor itself is have some sleep mode, so that will go there. Some controllers used for sensing application can work for years before the batteries get depleted. Okay, so before this batteries got depleted, so some message I got. Anybody yet to join? Fine. Someone deleted the message. Fine. Anyway, so some controllers, I mean, they're running for years. Okay, so I just ask you. So here I am having a mouse here. Okay, so maybe because I just disabled the screen, so I'm having a mouse. Okay, so there's a mouse here. I'm having a wireless keyboard here. So you can see it's a wireless keyboard. I have these things. Okay. Now, which consumes less energy, whether the mouse or the keyboard? So I need to recharge my mouse or the keyboard, which I need to do very soon. So I have a mouse, wireless mouse, and keyboard, which consumes more battery. Any hello?
Wireless mouse.
So wireless mouse consumes more energy. The reason being, the wireless mouse usually maintains the X and Y. So whether you like it or not, it will always be maintaining the X and Y. Okay. So that's why this wireless mouse consumes more energy, but wireless keyboard will be consuming less energy. So if let's say if I start both these things on the same day, so the next 1 year I need not recharge my keyboard, but in the next 6 months I need to recharge my mouse. So that's how the way the mouse will be working. So batteries usually these microcontrollers also they are running for years. That means you keep the sensor on and you keep the controller on, you power it and then forget. It will be running for years. So such kind of applications these microcontrollers can be used. But there are some exceptions. Intel have brought something called as Intel Atom. So Intel Atom. So this is one of the circuit. I mean, chip still this day it is being used. It is sits somewhere between the general purpose processor and the embedded system of the microcontroller. So that's what Atom do. So main advantage of Atom is the fan. So generally the Atom had a fan, but the 8051 doesn't have fan. Mostly microcontrollers they do not have fan. So you can see the Raspberry Pi. Have you ever seen a fan? No. Even there will be won't be a thermal arcer also. Even Arduino it doesn't have a fan. So small microcontrollers they don't have fan, but Atom they wanted to give a fan with the capability of a microcontroller. They launched it, but still this day Atom is being used. Okay, so that is on microcontrollers. Next thing is DSP processor. So DSP processor is something why we need it. Okay, so many applications do signal processing. Okay, so many applications do signal processing. Okay, so anybody used an app called as Mule? Have anybody used an app called as Mule or Star Maker? Anybody used? So it is like this using this software you can record your voice. The background music will come. Even you can sing for a duet also. So some other boy or a girl can be singing this song, and then in offline they record their part, and your part you go and fill it up, and then once it is done, it become a full-fledged song. Okay. Now in that song they have various options for audio enhancement. Audio enhancement means voice enhancement. So if you let's say if you want to have the smoother voice, if you want to have some polydal voice, if you want to have you are singing. So I am in a locked room now. Now if you want to whatever I am talking, if I want to go for a larger audience, so then I can able to use the larger audience. So that way I can able to use this thing. So in processor, there are some processor called digital signal processors do these kind of jobs. So they usually have capacitors and they usually enhance the signal. So they usually have DAC, ADC controllers. DAC, ADC. usually signal conditioning. So like how you do use air conditioning, similarly they will be signal conditioning. So they will be doing the song to be pleased enough. So that's how the way it works. See, sometimes you can see in some mobile phones when you talk over them, you feel that as if you are my friend talking. I don't recognize your voice, or your voice seems to be different. So that means sometimes your phone also will be modulating its voice. Okay, so that way. So in the earlier days, maybe in 2002, 3, 4, when I was holding a mobile phone, there was an option in the mobile phone. So when someone calls you, you can change your voice. There are multiple options that you can change your voice altogether, like a child voice, like a old person voice, or like a lady voice, as if you are talking, but the other end they will be listening the lady voice. It's available in the phone itself. So once the signal comes to your phone, the voice can be changed or tampered. So that way, some phones were there, but I don't know now anything is available. Maybe everything will become app based, but that time it is not app based. It is as part of the mobile settings. You can go to the settings, change your audio. So in that case, it will be asking you which voice you want, a kid voice or a child voice or a lady voice, or let's say you are talking as if in a traffic. So you are in your home, but you want to create a show that you are in a mid of a traffic. So that means you put that mode. So when you call your friend will be listening then as if you are in held in a traffic. There will be some car honking sound. All these things will be available. Suppose if you are in a forest, that also you can listen. So some screeching of insect sound will be there. So these kind of things we need some processing. So that will be done by the signal processor. Some applications do signal processing, so we need specialized processors. And to make you understand further, we have something called as 4K P30. What do you mean by this 4K P30? Any idea? What is this P30 means? 30. What do you mean by this? Any guess?
So 4K means 4000 pixels, 30 means 30
Okay,
FPS.
correct. Good. So let's say if I tell you like this, so DSP. So here generally 30 means 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second. Okay, so that's what here generally. Otherwise, we call it as FPS. Okay, so generally for processing heavier frames, we need huge processing power. See, 1 second, 30 frames will move, or 30 frames will move. Another second, another 30, 60, like that it will move. So in 1 second, these many things will be there. So 30 is a nominal one. That's what people have told in the beginning, that 24 FPS mainly for cinema. So if you are watching a movie in a theater, they use 24 frames per second generally, and 25 frames per second usually for television, TVs. So generally in TV, they rely using 25 frames per second. So 29.97 and 30 will be generally for your mobile phones. So your mobile play videos, mobile videos. Then we have 60 frames per second means smoother videos. Then we have 60. After that we have 240. They have 480. So these things are slow motion. Slow motion videos. Okay. So slow motion videos means they will be in a slow mo. So what do you call slow mo in your mobile phone? So that's what slow mo videos. Okay. Now morning also they showed the same thing to the team. I'll just show you. I need to enable my display. Okay. So, okay. You can see here. It is showing 1080 pixels HD, 120 frames per second, and 1080 pixel HD, 240 frames per second. So what does it mean is slow mo. So this is the slow mo, record slow mo in this camera. This is an iPhone XR. So what it says is 1080 pixels and 120 frame per second. Then 1080 pixels, 240 frame per second. Okay, so that means it can able to scale 240 frame per second or 1000 pixels, 1080 pixels. Okay, fine. Right. So for making this, you need to have computing power, heavy computing. So those computing cannot be happen with the help of a microcontroller. So we need some different processor called as DSP, digital signal processor. So that's why we go for a digital signal processor. Okay. Now it do something like imaging system like radar, sonar, light detection and ranging. Then we have some filters also, some filters. So filter means generally we call LPF, HPF, low pass filter, high pass filter. So low pass filter means allowing the lower frequencies. High pass filter means allowing the higher frequencies. So that's what high pass and low pass filter. But they are very complex in design and their clock frequency is high compared to existing microcontrollers as they need more speed. Since these DSPs they need more speed, so we need higher processing clock frequency. That means their clock frequency will be from 400 hertz like that, 400 megahertz, 400 megahertz and 1 gigahertz. These are the speed of this thing. For example, let us see a data sheet from a DSP processor from Texas Instruments. Anyway, after the next slide, I will just show you the data sheet. So data sheet is one important concept that everyone has to understand. I'll show you another machine. So next thing is a graphic processor. So graphic processor GPUs were there since 1970 to draw circles, rectangles, and arcs. Okay, so that's what 1 minute. But usually GPUs are on board. Generally, GPUs were on board, so there is no separate memory for it. Even a GPUs also use the same memory from your RAM, so it will take some of part of RAM and then it will be using it. But later on, only that's AMD, NVIDIA, they brought separate RAM, separate processor for a GPU. But earlier days, it was not like that. So that's how the way the GPU have been evolved. Maybe you can think of some game. I'll just tell you some games those days we were playing. Banania, there's one game. The games Banania. There's a game called as Aladdin and Super Mario. Then some more games. So these are some of the games. Actually, these games, how they do is without the use of GPU or with the onboard memory available, these games will be taking over the CPU. So once you are taking the third or fourth level, in the fourth level, if the memory is not sufficient, the game closes. The game terminates. Once the game terminates, it restarts the machine. It restarts the computer itself altogether. So sometimes it happens. So because of the memory occupation by this. So during those days, some machine it comes with the onboard GPU with no memory, but only the processing. Whenever this kind of games, the GPU will be taken over and then it will be used. So those games will be very good enough to do that. But we never have high rich games those days. So all the games were of DOS made. So the game will be only in compressed format. Once you start playing it, it decompresses. It decompresses like that. So this side will be decompressed. This side will be compressed. And once you move the game will be compressing and decompressing and happening. So that's how the way. The file size will be around 300 kilobytes. Only the full game will be 300 kilobytes. But you can compete 50 levels like that. So that means the compression decompression happens within the application itself. So that's how the way we use graphic processor those days. But now also the graphic processors are only these three vendors majorly: Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA. So these are the three vendors who just provide the GPU services. So nowadays GPUs are used for high-end computing, games, and even heavy processing applications like gene computing, DNA sampling are being done using GPUs. So nowadays, I think it is not visible.